Thank you. Is there further debate? Gentleman from 24.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, to debate the bill. I want to tell you why I'm supporting this bill. One is that my wife and I, once in a while, we travel to go camping and various things, and we do have cities all across the state, and we can get in our car. We may be taking our grandchildren somewhere, and I don't want to have to place a weapon on a car seat next to them, set up on the dashboard where it's in view. If I want to put it in the glove box and feel safe and secure, I can do that. But as I drive across the state, I may start at my house and have to put it on the dashboard. As soon as we leave town, put it back in the glove box, go to Shoshone, put it up on the dashboard. Every time you cross through a city, you're now violating the laws. And in reality, I think what this is doing is say law-abiding citizens have a right to carry. Also, I'd like to make a comment that occasionally we see someone that's carrying, or we see people that are carrying all the time and we never think anything about it because you don't see it. But every once in a while someone takes their jacket off and you see it and it makes you more nervous. And open carry is totally allowed in this state. We have to remember that. And this doesn't change anything, unless someone can correct me if I'm wrong. This doesn't have anything to do with campus carry or concealed weapons on campuses, so which I voted for a few years ago. But I think we feel much more comfortable sometimes not knowing than having people that might carry otherwise in open carry situations and make everybody more uncomfortable. Thank you.
Is there further debate? Lady from 19.
Mr. Speaker, to debate against the bill.
The lady has the floor.
Many good points have already been raised, and I really appreciate the good gentleman from 17 and his real recognition of how different sometimes we are and how to respect that and collaborate together. But I did want to mention a couple things. I'm on the committee that considered this bill, and a professor at a university locally at Boise State provided some statistics recently overnight, and I think it really answered some questions that came in committee, and unfortunately we didn't have that, so I'd like to just share a couple of those if that's okay. And the first one, the question came out, is that will this have an increase? Have we seen other states with an increase in violence when we relax permitting and gun rights or gun carrying laws? And numerous studies cited, over 30 years of studies put together, and the bullet point is aggravated assault rises when right to carry laws are adopted and gun laws are relaxed. So that answered one question that did come up in committee. And the other point I did want to make is a lot of times I hear that folks say, well, if I have a gun, that's going to help me protect somebody, or I can use it in defense. When actually, again, the statistics point that that's actually very rare that people use a gun in defense, a very rare occurrence. That having a gun provides no statistically significant benefit to the would-be victim during a crime. Attempting to use a gun in self-defense often results in the same injury rate as taking no action at all. So a lot of times, especially in fear of the mass shootings that we're seeing publicly, folks go to that notion as well. So I did just want to debunk some of those myths. I think our 100-year permitting process has been really very reasonable and appropriate. And most of the emails I've received really quote that. It's not cumbersome, it's not too expensive, it's really not that egregious of a limitation. It's very simple to get. And the most important thing that comes with that permit, if I'm going to hide a weapon from everyone, is that a background check is done. And again, for me, I appreciate the good gentleman's comment about open carry, but in this body, I have seen members with guns, and when I see it on their person, it does alert me. I have a different sense of space when I see it. When it's hidden, I'm not on notice. So I say if we are proud of the Constitution, the Second Amendment, proudly bear it in open so I can see what's present. And I would encourage the permitting system, again, for that additional bit of safety, the education part of it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate? Gentleman from 29.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To briefly comment and debate.
Gentleman has the floor.
It may surprise the body, but one could argue this is not a Second Amendment case or a federal U.S. Constitution case because the Idaho Constitution is different. And if I could, I think I can refer to the Constitution.
Gentleman may quote freely from the Idaho Constitution.
Article 1, Section 11 discusses the right to bear arms. It says, of course, the people have the right to keep and bear arms, but it says, but this provision shall not prevent the passage of laws to govern the carrying of weapons concealed on the person, etc. That's not part of the U.S. Constitution. And Idaho is different. In my case, in my district, I have to take into account what the university people think, or what the college presidents weighed in last time, and my sheriff, who has indicated a negative. I had to carry a gun once to court, and I'm going to keep my dad's 12 gauge and my wingmaster. I can't hit anything with them, so they're not concealed anyway. But I don't know if people know a retired FBI gentleman from Pocatello and the sheriff. We had a real scary case where the other side, the other gentleman that was represented had, like, I think 17 assault and battery charges before this. And I was on the other side of the case. We got a little spooked. So I went over and said, can I get a permit to carry, concealed weapon? This is a few years ago. And they said, well, sure, Mark, you can, but we'd advise against it. Why? He said, you're going to hurt yourself. Or they break in on you. You're better off to carry, have a baseball bat or something like that around. So maybe that governs my personal feeling. But I have great respect for the issue. And maybe it is a historic day. But I just wanted to mention, Mr. Speaker, that in Idaho we've got a little different approach. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there further debate? Will the gentleman from District 32 please stand and close the debate?
Mr. Speaker.
Well, speak up. Gentleman from 9.
Mr. Speaker, just quickly debate in favor of the bill.
Gentleman has the floor, and I apologize for not seeing you
Received
or hearing you.
quite a few emails in favor of this, but one rather interesting one was from a chief of police in one of the towns in our district, and he gave a number of reasons for supporting the bill, but I just wanted to mention one. He said, I've long felt that the permit was simply a tax on the law-abiding citizen and needed to be done away with.
Thank you, good gentleman. Is there further debate? Gentleman from 3.
Speaker, debate in favor of the bill.
You have the floor, sir.
For nearly 25 years, I was a police officer, uniform and a detective. And the thing that hangs in my mind about this is the number of crimes of violence I responded to where people were shot. And talking to parents, neighbors, friends, grandparents, passerbys that said, I wish I would have had a gun so I could have saved the person in the body bag. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further debate? Gentleman from 23.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It reminds me of a few years ago when Sheriff Lair in our county told me flat out that he wished every woman in the county carried a weapon because it would make his job easier. Because of that, guess what happened? My wife took the lessons, took the training, and etc., and she now has a weapons permit to carry. Let me conclude this way. 1389, by its very passage, is going to create a situation where you will not have to use it in defense because everybody's going to know that you have the right to carry concealed. And that's vital. This gets us much closer to that Second Amendment right, and the word shall not be infringed. Please. This is great legislation. Thank you.
Is there further debate? Lady from 9.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to draw attention to a letter that's on your desk from the Fraternal Order of Police, and I wanted to thank them especially for helping us work on this bill. This bill has been a long time coming, and I appreciate everyone on the floor who helped us with this, everyone in the legislature and outside. This is a great improvement, especially for those 18 to 21-year-olds, so that they have the ability to get a license and be trained. And for the lady from 18 or 19, I can't remember which one she's from, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, but the statistics that she is quoting, that it is just a small amount, small amount of statistics of people who actually protect themselves with a gun. It doesn't matter if it's one single person and it saves their life. That is a huge statistic. And I have a neighbor who was able to save her life because she did have a gun with her. A life is priceless, and the Second Amendment is priceless. So I would urge your green vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further debate? Hearing none.